SAMsARA Syrah, Melville Vineyards, located along Highway 246 near Lompoc. Planted in 1996 by Ron Melville and his sons, Melville Vineyards grows Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Syrah. The Syrah block, 9 different clones, planted in 1998, has deep, light textured, sandy loam soil. Chad not only makes this wine, he grows it. Tell us about what goes into a bottle of SAMsARA Syrah.
Thanks. This is such a pleasure to be here and to listen to all these great winemakers and growers, and to be able to taste two of these fantastic wines and to see the differences of the climates and the soils and how they impact. SAMsARA, I only work with Syrah from cool climates, and Rita Hills, which has been touched on, is a very extreme cold climate. There's, if you guys are familiar with the Davis program, with the way they dissect the regions 1 through 5, 5 being the hottest, 1 being the coldest. There's some years where Rita Hills doesn't even register 1. So it's that cold, right? What makes it really unique as well is that we have a really early bud break. So we typically get bud break in Syrah in early March, which makes for a really long grow season, given that we are picking Syrah typically in the middle of November. Some years we even go to December. So it's crazy, right? So this kind of, the idea that growing Syrah is easy in a cold climate is completely false. It requires just as much time and effort to grow Syrah as it does Pinot Noir. So our farming costs are essentially the same. It's a late ripening varietal, right? So its DNA, its propensity is to just naturally ripen late. When you put that in a cold climate, you're asking for a little bit of trouble, right? It also it's a very friendly, forgiving grape, right? It will always produce a lot of fruit. You could plant it in the concrete outside and you would have a vineyard, right? I mean, it'll grow anywhere. So it requires you to drop a lot of fruit in a cold climate to ensure that you can get it ripe. And again, we're still picking it quite late in the season. So there's a lot of risk there, right? There's also a lot of reward. And with cold climate Syrah, you tend to get, I love what Mark said, this quivering tension. You get that fruit, you get that Syrah-ness that's there, the tannin, the deep, dark richness. You also get this vibrant or quivering acidity that's there. And it just makes it really unique and different. It doesn't make it better than anyone else's. It doesn't make it a better climate than anyone else's. It just makes it different and unique. With this wine in particular, it's 50% whole cluster, so there's kind of an additional layer or integration of tannin. And it's completely neutral wood, so there's just, the idea with SAMsARA is to get little tiny slivers of blocks within Santa Rita. So this is 5 rows of our Donna's block at Melville, which is in as well as Zonovich, and just pure sand. So neutral wood, 50% whole cluster, right acidity, ripe fruit, and this kind of extra layer of tannin. I do it all natural, so it's native yeast, it's basket pressed, it's in barrel for 2 years. It goes to bottle, non-fine, non-filtered, and it's in bottle for 1 year. So this is the current release here. It's really about procuring really beautiful, clean, concentrated fruit, and then kind of getting out of the way. So for those of you that know much about the winemaking process, it's a pretty non-manipulative approach. And in terms of pushing the envelope, those are things that you can typically do when you're producing smaller amounts. You can't. It's a lot risky and maybe even partly crazy or non-advisable to be doing native yeast with big fermentations. Basket pressing just simply is inefficient if you have a lot to do, so it typically is something you find with smaller production. But also, the wine sits in barrel for almost 20 months without any SO2. but it's in a really cold environment. And so by controlling the cellar, it allows me to kind of take that risk. So all those little things are kind of, really pushing it. I mean, I only make 125 cases of this wine, so it's a lot. You can sleep a lot easier when you're making smaller lots than if I approach this way at Melville would be a little nerve-wracking.